Can fish become frozen in mid-jump? The jumping fish is a photo that was taken at Lake Andes National Wildlife Refuge in South Dakota. She took the photo to enter a picture captioning contest on Facebook, but then Twitter got a hold of it in 2015 and people started sharing it like crazy. While it does look strange, there's nothing to be alarmed about. This is just another way of nature rebooting itself. The lake was covered in ice so thick that it blocked sunlight from penetrating to the bottom. Without sunlight, the plants started dying and decomposing, and without plants, the water's oxygen levels dropped. Thousands of fish began dying and floating to the water's surface as a consequence. But that still doesn't explain the 4-foot-high wall of the lake's surface, does it? Well, first of all, the fish didn't get frozen in mid-jump. Let's get that out of the way. The first explanation for this phenomenon is wind. Strong winds pushed the frozen water upwards along with all those dead fish, and they froze in position. And the second explanation has to do with expanding ice. The colder the weather became, the more the ice expanded, and as the ice expanded, it reached the shore. On the shore, the ice cracked, and this cracked ice had nowhere to go but up. Next up, we have the Yucca Mammoth. Scientists consider this the best preserved Siberian mammoth ever to be dug up from the ice. And it might sound strange, but the locals accidentally discovered this juvenile female mammoth. The natural mummy was found on an overhanging ledge on the beach at the Laptev Sea. The structure was 10 feet tall and weighed 5 tons. Scientists couldn't believe how well preserved the mammoth was when they saw it. Carbon dating uncovered that this was around 40,000 years old, corresponding to the Middle Weichselian period. After its discovery in 2010, the mammoth was kept in the permafrost at Yukagir, and then it was transported to the Saka Academy of Sciences at Yakutsk, so specialists could perform tests on this female mammoth. Based on the teeth and tusk analysis, they discovered that the animal was between 6 and 8 years old when it died. At first, they assumed that lions were hunting this animal, which is when it fell into the water and froze to death. But they didn't find evidence to support that hypothesis. Oh, and scientists from the Japanese Kindai University took some of the mammoth's tissue and managed to bring the cells back to life. They wanted to activate cell division, hoping to clone the animal, but they were unsuccessful. This story involves Ice Age kittens. They've been discovered in the region of Yakutia and Russia. Carbon dating suggests that they were frozen in the ice for over 30,000 years. However, studies later show that they were only 1 to 2 weeks old when they died because they hadn't even opened their eyes before disaster struck. Also, their teeth hadn't grown yet. Based on the tomography performed, a study of the insides of the cubs' stomachs, they discovered that they were empty. In other words, the cubs hadn't even tasted their mother's milk. The cave where they were born crashed and buried them. Scientists also uncovered dirt and dust particles inside their digestive tracts, which only supports that hypothesis. Now, if you think these little guys still look cute, smash that like button, just like you should do if you haven't done so already. And now comes the moose fight. Imagine going for a walk outside and you notice moose antlers sticking out of the ground. Well, that's what Brad Webster, a middle school social studies and science teacher from Alaska, and his friend Jeff Erickson saw on a walk in Unalakleet. They saw the giant antlers sticking out from the ice, so they went to see what was happening. The two guys were amazed at what they saw when they got there. They took photos, and local news crews arrived when they told them about the two moose. After examining the animals, scientists concluded that these two males were fighting over a female as their rutting season was coming to an end. However, it's believed that one of them wounded and killed the other animal. As it went down, their antlers got entangled. The dead animal dragged his opponent down, and unable to escape, they both froze to death in the water. Did you know that this 42,000-year-old horse had liquid blood in its veins? It's the oldest liquid blood we have on record. Lena, the horse, was discovered in the eastern Siberia region of Russia. Studies presume that it was only 2 months old when it died. When they examined the body, scientists found liquid blood. To date, the oldest liquid blood recovered was from a 32,000-year-old mammoth carcass uncovered in Siberia. This one's 10,000 years older. Now, scientists from the Northeastern Federal University in Yakutsk are trying to clone the foal, hoping to revive the species. Scientists know it'll be hard, and they're still hopeful that cloning will be successful. And then we have the Ice Age bison. A group of explorers went to Alaska looking for gold in the ice and came across the best preserved bison they've ever seen. What do you think they did first? Maybe call the authorities to take a look? How about protecting the find so no one else could get to it? And normal people would do that, but these people weren't normal. As they used the hydraulic mining hose to strip away the ice looking for gold, they uncovered the bison. They stopped mining, unearthed the bison, and one of them decided to cut up a chunk of meat from its neck and eat it. They cooked, served, ate it, and washed it down with lots of booze. Scientists later discovered that the bison was 55,000 years old and an ancient lion had brought it down. What does 55,000-year-old bison meat taste like? Well, according to one of the women involved in the expedition, it smelled like beef but tasted worse than beef jerky. That's a good thing. We thought it tasted like food poisoning. A frozen bacteria awakens after a 24,000-year slumber and terrifies scientists. Why? Because we've seen too many horror movies with deadly pathogens released into the environment, and with global warming at its highest, this could turn ugly. They uncovered these animals called bedelloid rotifers from the Alizaya River in Siberia. Their age was confirmed by the radiocarbon nearby. To bring them back to life, the scientists placed these organisms in a petri dish, added a medium, and they slowly started coming back to life. They began to move and reproduce asexually. It's a good thing they weren't harmful, otherwise this could have been the beginning of a modern-day Armageddon. And we're still in Siberia. It's the gravesite of the woolly rhinoceros that went extinct almost 50,000 years ago. Scientists have unearthed 14 specimens, and one of them is an almost entire woolly rhino. Its well-preserved body was found in the Kolmia River. And while many people think that rhinos were killed by human activity in the region, the results point to a different cause. If the rhinos were hunted to extinction, we would have seen very little genetic diversity in their DNA. However, during the examination, scientists uncovered that these animals' DNA remained biodiverse, proving climate change killed the woolly rhino at that time. Let's not forget about the lion cub. Frozen inside the Siberian Arctic, scientists unearthed two small lion cubs they believe were siblings. After carbon dating the two animals, they uncovered that one was 15,000 years older than the other. Boris, the second cub, is estimated to be 43,500 years old, while Sparta, also known as Siberian Simba, is the younger of the two. Both of these cubs were only between 1 and 2 months old when they died, and their bodies were preserved perfectly in the ice. The skin and the soft tissue were intact, and their claws were sharp enough to pierce anyone touching them. The Iceman Otsis is probably one of the best preserved human beings from 3300 BC. Sure, we know this isn't an animal, it's a human being, but it's a part of nature, and there's a cool history behind it, so we wanted to talk about it. The Iceman was uncovered in the Ötztal Alps, on the border between Italy and Austria. Ötzi died due to blood loss. Once the icy tomb melted, scientists uncovered an arrowhead in his left shoulder. It's believed he died running away from an attacker. They don't know why he was shot with the arrow, but the loss of blood likely caused his death. Ötzi removed the arrowhead before fleeing, but he didn't make it very far. The wound would have been fatal even today, and blood loss in such an environment is a death sentence. YouTube thinks you should watch this video next.